Have you ever felt like talking to your adult child is like talking to a wall? Or worse, like striking a spark in a dry field where only fire and hurt remain? You're left with that bitter feeling in your chest after an exchange where voices rise, eyes harden, and you end up more wounded than before, wondering when everything changed. Perhaps it's a casual dismissal of your advice, a dismissive wave of the hand, or a sharp tone that cuts deeper than any physical wound. You replay the moments in your mind, seeking an answer, a reason, a path back to the connection you once cherished. The silence that follows these encounters can be deafening, filled with unspoken pain and a sense of profound loneliness. It's a weight that settles in your heart, dimming the joy of what should be a peaceful time in your life. You've given so much, built a life, poured your essence into raising them, only to feel overlooked, undervalued, or even openly disrespected. This isn't just about fleeting arguments. It's about the erosion of a sacred bond, the quiet crumbling of expectations, and the gnawing question, is this how it's supposed to be? Is this what I deserve after all I've done? There's a silent cause, a deep, almost invisible root that many older adults carry inside without realizing it. One that's subtly affecting their dignity, their peace of mind, their fundamental right to be treated with respect. It's not weakness, it's not guilt, but it is something that can absolutely change. For years, I've walked alongside women and men like you, parents who gave everything, who held it all together, who loved without limits. And now, instead of warmth, they get shouting. Instead of being heard, they get indifference. Instead of conversation, they get contempt. It's not fair. But more importantly, it doesn't have to be this way. Today, I want to show you a different perspective. A way to respond when your adult child disrespects you, one that doesn't involve arguing, giving in, or fighting. A response rooted in timeless Stoic wisdom. This isn't about magical solutions or quick fixes. It's about reclaiming your inner fortress, your composure, and your peace. Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot control external events or the actions of others, we hold absolute power over our own responses and perceptions. This profound philosophy, practiced by great minds like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, offers a practical roadmap to navigate life's inevitable challenges with serenity and strength. It's about cultivating an inner calm that no external storm can disrupt, a resilience that allows you to stand firm, even when the ground beneath you feels unsteady. This approach will not demand yelling. It will not require tears. It simply asks for an internal decision, one that can change everything. Stay with me. What you're about to hear could transform how you face conflict, how you stand in the face of pain, and most crucially, how you relate to yourself. Because this stage of life, these golden years, aren't about merely putting up with more. They're about living with peace, with dignity, with truth. They are about nurturing a mind that remains unshakable amidst life's turbulence, a mind that finds strength in wisdom. If you resonate with this quest for inner fortitude and lasting tranquility, I invite you to subscribe to the Stoic Philosophy channel. Here, you'll find more videos designed to empower your mind, helping you achieve a state of lasting peace and happiness, guiding you on this profound journey towards self-mastery. Let's begin. The truth is, as painful as it may be to admit, all of this has a name: the normalization of disrespect. We get used to it, almost without realizing. We start accepting that our adult children speak to us harshly, ignore us, belittle us, as if that were just a natural part of life, as if growing older came with the obligation to endure. It starts subtly, perhaps a slight eye roll when you offer advice, a quick dismissal of your concerns, or a tone of voice that implies you're outdated or irrelevant. These seemingly small slights accumulate day after day, like pebbles filling a jar, until the weight becomes unbearable. We tell ourselves, "Oh, it's just their way," or "they don't mean anything by it." But deep down, a quiet alarm bell rings, a sense of something fundamentally amiss. But that's simply not how it's supposed to be. So many parents live through these situations in silence, with a mix of shame, guilt, and resignation. Because really, who feels ready to say out loud, "My son or daughter treats me badly"? Who wants to carry that emotional weight, knowing everything a mother or father has given? The countless sleepless nights, the sacrifices of personal dreams, the unwavering support through childhood and adolescence, the financial and emotional investment, all these are memories, often cherished, that make the current reality sting with a particular bitterness. And yet, that unfair treatment, that tone of disdain or indifference, starts to sink in day after day until it becomes a form of invisible violence. Invisible to others who might only see a functional family, but brutally real to the one who's going through it, chipping away at their self-worth and peace of mind. What begins as a sharp remark becomes routine. What once hurt becomes normal. What used to be an exception becomes the very way you live together. Often there's no shouting, no direct insults, no physical altercations. Instead, there are cold gestures, like turning their back mid-sentence or avoiding eye contact. There are wounding silences when your heartfelt words are met with a blank stare or a dismissive shrug. There is apathy, a chilling lack of concern for your feelings or well-being that speaks volumes louder than any angry word. And that hurts too, perhaps even more. It hurts because it comes from the one you've loved the most, the very flesh and blood you nurtured into adulthood. It hurts because you've known that face since it was a baby, soft and innocent, and now you don't understand when it turns so hard, so impassive, or so full of irritation. The dissonance between the cherished memories of their younger years and the current reality can be heartbreaking, leaving you to grapple with a profound sense of loss and confusion. But here's something profoundly important to make clear. This doesn't happen because you failed as a parent. It's not a testament to your weakness or because you were too kind or too lenient. This wound often comes from a much broader, deeply ingrained cultural message that for generations taught us to stay quiet, to not make waves, to always put others first. It's a message that praised self-sacrifice and subtly punished the establishment of healthy boundaries. It taught us to give, to pour ourselves out endlessly, but neglected to teach us how to protect our own dignity, our own emotional space. This societal conditioning has often left older adults feeling that their worth is directly tied to their utility or their children's approval, rather than being an inherent and unshakable truth. That's why today, instead of looking for someone to blame, whether it's them or painfully yourself, we're going to face this pain head-on. We're going to name it for what it is, a violation of your inherent right to respectful treatment. Because only when you name it, when you fully recognize and acknowledge this invisible dynamic, does it begin to lose its insidious power over you. And what comes next is a revelation that could fundamentally change the way you relate in that bond, not necessarily to break it, but to transform it, to infuse it with firmness, with self-respect, and with the profound wisdom that only years of life experience can bestow. Because you deserve more than just putting up with it. You deserve to be respected, genuinely and consistently. And that, my friends, starts not with demanding it from them, but with a powerful, quiet revolution that begins deep within you. In this crucial section, we delve into the heart of our discussion, moving from identifying the problem to exploring tangible, Stoic-inspired solutions. We'll uncover practical strategies and shift deeply ingrained perspectives that can transform how you navigate disrespectful interactions with your adult children. This isn't about manipulating outcomes or forcing change in others, but about cultivating an unshakable inner core that allows you to respond with wisdom rather than react with pain. We will examine the profound power of intentional silence, dissect the common yet damaging beliefs that hold us back, and introduce a powerful ritual for anchoring your self-respect. Furthermore, we'll confront the inevitable internal challenges that arise when you choose this new path, providing guidance on how to navigate guilt, doubt, and impatience with the same stoic composure we advocate for. We will also explore the critical importance of self-compassion during this journey and the long-term benefits of embodying respect. Each point is designed to empower you, to equip you with the tools necessary to reclaim your peace and dignity, fostering a deeper, more authentic connection with yourself, which, paradoxically, often leads to healthier relationships with those around you. It's time to transition from passive endurance to active, conscious empowerment. Chapter 1. The Power of Active Silence, a Stoic Approach. The first profound shift I want to share with you has to do with a practice as ancient as it is forgotten, and yet absolutely essential for those who have lived much, observed much, and now seek a deeper peace. Active silence. This concept might sound counterintuitive, especially when your instinct is to defend, explain, or retaliate. But let me be clear, this is not resignation, it's not indifference, it is certainly not a sign of weakness. Instead, it is a kind of silence that originates from an enormous wellspring of inner strength, cultivated not from passivity or fear, but from a place of firm, conscious, and deliberate presence. Think of it as the strategic pause before a chess master makes their move, allowing them to survey the entire board and anticipate future possibilities rather than impulsively reacting to a single threat. Or consider the deep stillness of a seasoned sailor navigating a fierce storm. They don't fight every wave, but rather find a way to move with the immense forces, preserving their vessel and their crew. It's the profound ability to not respond to shouting with more shouting, to not engage in the exhausting blame game that only drains your spirit, to not feed the very conflict that suffocates genuine connection. This restraint doesn't come from a lack of words or a fear of confrontation, but from a place of profound wisdom, a deep understanding of what is truly within your control and what is not. This distinction between what is up to us and what is not is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. This silence is anything but empty. It is vibrant, full of intention, brimming with composure, and imbued with a deep understanding cultivated for centuries by Stoic philosophy. As the great Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely reminded us, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. This timeless truth lies at the heart of active silence. When you choose active silence in the face of disrespect, you are not conceding defeat, you are not giving in to their behavior, nor are you allowing them to walk all over you. On the contrary, you are sending an unmistakable, powerful message. You are showing that you simply will not lower yourself to that level. You are unequivocally communicating that your dignity is not up for debate, that your inner peace is not negotiable, and that your self-worth is not dependent on their validation or approval. This choice, while initially confusing to someone who is expecting a fight, a heated argument, or a familiar emotional reaction, gradually, almost imperceptibly, begins to shift the entire dynamic of the interaction. Because when you refuse to engage in the chaotic dance of accusation and defense, the other person suddenly finds themselves reflected in a clear, unblemished mirror. There's no one else to blame, no one else to project their anger onto. They begin to hear their own echo, their own escalating tones and cutting words without the usual counterpoint from you. And often, when there's no one left to clash with, no one to fuel their anger or frustration, they may, for the very first time, begin to feel a flicker of shame, a dawning realization of their own conduct. It's in this uncomfortable silence, this absence of your familiar reaction, that they are forced to confront their own behavior rather than focusing on yours. Science backs this up too, in fascinating ways that bridge ancient philosophy with modern understanding. Neuropsychology studies have consistently shown that disproportionate emotional reactions primarily activate the limbic system of the brain, the primal area responsible for our fight-or-flight responses, for raw emotion, and for impulsive, often regrettable, behavior. This is the part of the brain that screams, "react." But in stark contrast, reflective silence, the kind of conscious pause and deliberate restraint we are discussing, activates the prefrontal cortex, the advanced area responsible for rational decision-making, impulse control, empathy, foresight, and reasoned thought. In other words, when you choose not to react impulsively, when you consciously step back and embrace active silence, you are not only protecting your own emotional and mental well-being from the immediate assault, but you are also, in a subtle yet profoundly powerful way, helping the other person break free from their own automatic, often destructive impulses. You break the predictable, negative cycle of reaction and counter-reaction, and in doing so, you open a tiny, crucial door to understanding, to the possibility of a different kind of interaction, one built on more conscious choice rather than automatic reflex. But make no mistake, this kind of silence takes rigorous practice and immense inner discipline. It's far from easy. Staying quiet, remaining composed when you are being hurt, when your deepest buttons are being pushed, is profoundly painful and goes against many ingrained human instincts. It feels unnatural to hold back when your every fiber screams to defend yourself or lash out. That's why this isn't about bottling everything up, suppressing your emotions, or holding in your anger until it explodes later in a different context. This is about consciously choosing a different path for your emotional energy. It's about finding moments, even brief ones, to return to yourself, to take a deep, grounding breath, to choose from your center, that inner space of wisdom and calm that no external disrespect can truly reach, no matter how harsh the words or how dismissive the glance. It's that sacred place from which you can see clearly, think rationally, and respond with genuine wisdom rather than merely reacting from the raw wound of the moment. This inner sanctuary is your greatest asset. The hardest part for many older adults is overcoming the deeply ingrained belief that being quiet means surrendering, that silence equates to weakness or giving in. This belief has been taught and reinforced for years, even generations, often through the very cultural messages that encouraged endless sacrifice from parents. We were taught that the squeaky wheel gets the grease, that you must always assert yourself to be heard. But what I'm proposing is exactly the opposite. It's learning to be silent as a strategy of strength, as a powerful path to personal restoration and dignity. It's a strategic withdrawal, a deliberate disengagement from the chaos, not a retreat into passivity. It is a powerful form of self-assertion without uttering a single word. And here's where the deepest obstacle often appears, that little inner voice that whispers, "But if I don't say anything, they'll think they can keep treating me like this. They'll never learn." Don't worry, we're going to face that very real fear together in the next part. Because yes, that fear is real, it's valid, but it can absolutely be transformed, managed, and ultimately overcome. This journey is about learning to be silently powerful, to wield your inner calm as your most potent tool. Chapter 2: Dismantling False Beliefs, where respect truly lies. Our second point, and perhaps one of the hardest truths to accept and integrate into your core being, involves the courageous act of dismantling some deeply rooted, often cherished beliefs we hold about parenthood and respect. These beliefs, while they might sound noble, self-sacrificing, and even morally righteous, often end up working profoundly against us, becoming silent architects of continued suffering and enabling the very disrespect we wish to escape. It's time to shine a clear, objective light on these deeply embedded misconceptions, to see them for what they truly are. The first belief, pervasive and comforting to many, says, "If I gave everything for my children, if I sacrificed my youth, my dreams, my very being, if I poured my heart and soul into their upbringing, then the least I deserve in return is their respect." And yes, on the surface, that sounds perfectly logical, profoundly human, and undeniably fair. It resonates with our deepest sense of justice, of cosmic reciprocity. It's a sentiment born from unconditional love and immense effort. But the fundamental problem here is that respect isn't something you collect like a debt. It doesn't function on a ledger of past sacrifices. It simply doesn't work that way in the dynamic of human relationships, especially with independent adult children. Respect is not a commodity that can be earned in advance through years of giving, no matter how selfless that giving was. Instead, respect is cultivated in the present moment. It lives and breathes in active, ongoing, and mutual relationships. It is a fragile plant that needs constant nurturing and care in the here and now, a continuous process of acknowledgement and reciprocal regard. It isn't guaranteed, nor can it be demanded, simply by what we did, however monumental, in the past. Many parents deeply feel that raising their children, feeding them, educating them, sacrificing their own aspirations, their own personal freedom, should intrinsically ensure they'll be treated with dignity and gratitude, and they do deserve it, absolutely beyond question. But if that adult child, for whatever complex reasons, be it their own unresolved issues, emotional immaturity, cultural influences, or simply a lack of empathy, hasn't developed the capacity to recognize the immense gifts they've been given, if they lack emotional maturity, then they will not respond with gratitude. They will respond with indifference, or worse, with anger, resentment, or a chilling disregard for your feelings and contributions. It's not fair by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a painful, undeniable reality we must confront with clear eyes. The second belief is even more insidious, more damaging, and infinitely more painful because it turns the blame inward. If they disrespect me, it's because I did something wrong as a mother or father. This idea has the power to destroy us from the inside out, poisoning our self-perception and amplifying our anguish. Because now you're not only dealing with the actual mistreatment, the direct affront to your dignity, but you're also burdened with a suffocating weight of self-blame and guilt that paralyzes you, keeping you stuck in a cycle of hurt. This guilt often stems from a deeply ingrained yet ultimately false fantasy of total control. A misconception that being a parent somehow grants you omnipotence over every future decision, every character trait, every emotional development your child will make. As if your parenting was a perfect formula that should guarantee a perfect outcome. But that has never been true. Every child, even your own, is their own unique universe, with their own inherent wounds, their own complex choices, and their own individual paths that we as parents may never fully understand, let alone control. Their journey is their own. You could have been the most present, loving, courageous, and dedicated parent imaginable, pouring your heart and soul into their upbringing, providing every opportunity, every ounce of love, and still have an adult child who simply doesn't know how to relate to you in a healthy, respectful way. Their behavior, their choices, their emotional maturity are ultimately theirs to own, not a direct reflection of your worth or your parenting ability. That's not your fault, and you do not have to carry that unbearable burden of false guilt for circumstances beyond your control. As the Stoics taught, focus only on what is within your sphere of influence. And then there's a third belief, perhaps one of the most common and deeply entrenched in our cultural fabric, especially among older generations. It's better to endure this disrespect, to swallow my words, to accept crumbs of attention, than to end up alone. This profound, almost primal fear of isolation, of being abandoned or forgotten in one's later years, leads many older women and men to silence their voices, to diminish their needs, to tell themselves, "At least I still have them close," or "At least they still visit." But at what cost? What good is it to have them physically present in your home, or occasionally in your life, if every interaction feels like walking through an emotional minefield or like a constant draining battlefield? What good is avoiding external, physical loneliness if the loneliness inside, the crushing loneliness of being unheard, unseen, and unvalued in the presence of those who should cherish you most, becomes an unbearable, soul-crushing weight? Again, this self-sacrificing pattern, this quiet desperation for connection at any cost, has shaped generations of women and men who incrementally forgot themselves, who accepted unfair treatment out of fear, out of guilt, out of ingrained tradition. They chose the familiar pain of compromise and disrespect over the terrifying unknown of asserting their due. But today is different. Today, you possess the undeniable wisdom that comes only with age, the clarity born from years of lived experience and quiet observation, and the absolute right to look at these deeply embedded beliefs and declare with quiet, unwavering conviction, no more guilt, no more forced silence, no more allowing the fear of being left behind to dictate your dignity or compromise your peace. Because what comes next isn't about making demands on others. It's a practical, empowering proposal. It's about charting a new path to start living that relationship from a profoundly different place, not from constant confrontation or a desperate clinging to the past, but from radical inner transformation, not from focusing on what's missing, but from powerfully reclaiming what you can restore and cultivate within yourself, your peace, your dignity, your inherent worth. Get ready, because this is where real, lasting change begins. This is where you become the author of your own narrative of respect. Chapter 3. Anchoring Your Dignity, a practical Stoic ritual. Now, let's translate these profound Stoic principles into concrete, actionable steps you can implement immediately, steps that will become your new emotional anchors. Imagine yourself in a scenario, perhaps one that has played out countless times before, where you're standing in front of your adult child. The atmosphere might be calm at first, but then, subtly, the familiar tension begins to build. Words are exchanged, tones escalate, and you feel that familiar knot of frustration, sadness, or anger tightening in your chest, triggering a well-worn, painful response. In that very moment, a powerful shift can occur. Something new can light up inside you. Not the old reactive anger, not the familiar sinking sadness, but a new, profound kind of clarity and inner resolve. You are not going to argue. You are not going to justify yourself. You are not going to exhaust yourself trying to explain, yet again, why their words hurt, or why their behavior is unacceptable. Instead, you are going to do something much, much more powerful. You are going to hold your presence. This is the moment to integrate a simple yet deeply restorative practice. A practice that Seneca or Marcus Aurelius would have recognized immediately as essential for cultivating inner peace. Anchoring your dignity in your own body. What does that mean practically in the heat of a moment? It means that every single time someone, even your own child, crosses a line with you, instead of reacting impulsively from the raw, exposed wound of the moment, you consciously and deliberately return to yourself. You bring your awareness inward, literally. You feel your feet firmly planted on the ground beneath you, sensing their connection to the earth, like the roots of an ancient tree. You imagine your spine upright, strong and aligned, symbolizing your inner resolve and unwavering self-respect. You pay deliberate attention to your breath, making it soft, even, and deliberate. A quiet, rhythmic reminder of your own existence and autonomy. You take an inner pause, not to run away from the situation, not to stay silent out of fear or weakness, but to firmly and gently remind yourself of who you are, of your inherent worth, independent of their words or actions. This physical grounding helps to prevent your emotions from spiraling out of control, creating a buffer between stimulus and response. This ritual, because that's how it should feel, like a sacred personal ritual that honors your being, can begin even before the conversation becomes overtly tense. It can start subtly in the quiet, reflective moments of your day. Perhaps in your kitchen while you make your morning coffee, you whisper to yourself, "I deserve respect. My peace is paramount. I am my own anchor." It can continue in the living room when you sense their tone beginning to rise or feel a familiar tension creeping into the air, and you mentally repeat, "I'm not going to react the way I used to. I choose a different path. I choose calm." And it becomes profoundly real and powerful when, in the very middle of a tense moment, when your child's voice elevates or their words sting with disrespect, you consciously choose to stay calm, not with coldness, not with indifference, but with a deep, unwavering firmness that emanates from your core. This isn't about being unfeeling, it's about being in control of your own emotional landscape, refusing to be pulled into their vortex of negativity. You can also prepare a short, personal phrase, something intimate and deeply resonant that reminds you of your inherent power and worth. It can be as simple as, "I am my center," or "My peace is non-negotiable," or perhaps, "I choose dignity." You repeat that phrase inwardly, silently, like a mantra, while the other person talks, yells, or accuses. This phrase acts not as a flimsy shield against their onslaught that might shatter under pressure, but as a deep, unwavering anchor, a solid support system rooted firmly within your own being. Because as long as you don't get lost in their chaos, as long as you remain tethered to your own inner truth and your chosen phrase, you are still there, whole, present, worthy, and unassailable. You become an island of calm in their storm. Another incredibly powerful and often unexpected part of this method involves a counterintuitive shift in dynamic. When their volume rises, you consciously lower yours. Literally. You can calmly, firmly say, "I can't hear you when you speak to me like this. I will be happy to discuss this when we can speak respectfully." And then, with deliberate intention, turn away or move to another room, not to punish them, not to manipulate their behavior, but to protect your own soul, to preserve your own energetic boundaries, and to model the behavior you expect. Or you can choose to stay physically present, but without stepping into the storm of their emotions. Look at them with a calm, steady gaze, allowing the silence to stretch and become uncomfortable, not for you, but for them. Because sometimes the greatest act of self-love, the most powerful communication, is letting the other person hear themselves without you serving as their emotional echo chamber, without you becoming their broken mirror, reflecting their anger or disrespect back at them. This absence of your usual reaction forces them to confront their own behavior. This doesn't mean you'll stop talking forever or that you'll accept the unacceptable indefinitely. It means responding from a new, empowered place. A place that doesn't require you to have the last word or to convince anyone of your worth. It's simply about being authentically you, without giving yourself away, without lowering yourself, without losing your precious emotional and spiritual center. It's about preserving your integrity. With consistent practice, this ritual of self-anchoring becomes an organic, almost instinctive part of you. It settles into how you breathe, how you walk, how you see the world. You won't master it on day one. Perfection is not the goal, and you don't need to get it perfect every single time. You only need to remember it in the key moment, that brief, potent instant when you can choose between engaging in a destructive fight or staying grounded in your dignity, between allowing yourself to be broken by their disrespect or rooting yourself deeply in your own self-worth, between repeating the same old story of pain and conflict or courageously writing a new one, a story where you are no longer the mother or father who merely endures, but the woman or man who profoundly honors themselves. And even though this path may seem quiet on the outside, a profound revolution is stirring within you. That's why, in what comes next, we'll talk about the inner challenges that inevitably appear when you start setting boundaries from the soul, because that's often where many people feel like they're taking a step backward, when in reality, they are just beginning to truly grow into their fullest, most dignified selves. Chapter 4. Navigating Inner Challenges, Guilt, Doubt, and Impatience. As you embark on this courageous journey of reclaiming your dignity and embracing active silence, something profound stirs within. But alongside this awakening, shadows often appear, a natural consequence of challenging old patterns and deeply ingrained habits. These shadows are not signs of failure, but rather the natural guardians of change. Old fears, lingering doubts, and quiet inner voices that will question your resolve, trying to pull you back into the familiar, albeit painful, past. You might hear whispers like, "What if he or she walks away for good? What if I stop being important to them? What if none of this makes a difference and I've alienated them for nothing? Is this truly the right thing to do?" These thoughts are not mistakes. They are an inherent, almost predictable part of the process of growth and transformation. And your task isn't to defeat them in a battle, to suppress them or wish them away, but to acknowledge them with compassion, to hear them without necessarily obeying them, much like an ancient Stoic acknowledging a passing emotion without letting it control their actions. The first, and often most pervasive obstacle, is guilt. This is that gnawing, insidious feeling that you're doing something inherently wrong, something selfish, by standing up for yourself, by prioritizing your own peace. It's as if setting healthy boundaries were a betrayal of your profound role as a mother or father, a defiance of the unspoken code of self-sacrifice. This guilt is a heavy mantle, woven from years of societal expectations that glorify unconditional giving from parents, and perhaps from your own deeply held beliefs about parental duty. It whispers that a good parent always puts their child's needs and comfort first, even at the expense of their own peace, their own emotional health, their very identity. But the profound truth, a truth that will ultimately liberate you, is this: you are not betraying anything. You are, in fact, choosing to respect yourself, to honor your own well-being. And that, far from being selfishness, is a vital, non-negotiable act of emotional health and self-preservation. It is love that has matured, a love that understands its own boundaries, a love that knows it cannot truly serve others if it is constantly depleted and dishonored. A parent's love should indeed be boundless in its essence, but it should not always hurt. And you absolutely do not have to pay for respect with your own peace of mind, your emotional well-being, or your fundamental sense of self-worth. As Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on the importance of maintaining one's inner citadel, guarding it from external disturbances, a concept profoundly relevant here. Protecting your inner peace is not a luxury. It is a necessity for a well-lived life. Then comes doubt. This manifests as the unsettling feeling of being utterly alone on this unfamiliar path. You're venturing into uncharted emotional territory, and it can feel isolating. Often, when you choose not to engage in the familiar argument, when you refuse to play the old, predictable roles, the other person might initially pull away or respond with a chilling, frustrating silence. This silence, devoid of the usual conflict, can feel incredibly heavy, like a void. It might make you question if your new approach is working, if you're doing something wrong, or if you've simply pushed them further away, severing the fragile threads of connection. You might wonder if you've made a terrible mistake, but it is crucial to remember, do not confuse this silence or distance with indifference or a permanent rift. Sometimes the other person needs space too, time to process your changed behavior, time to adjust to the new dynamic, time to rebuild their own internal equilibrium without your constant engagement and reactivity. And you cannot do that difficult inner work for them. You cannot control their journey or their response. As the Stoics wisely taught, some things are within our power, while others are not. Their internal processing, their ultimate choices, are not within your power. Your composure, your integrity, your commitment to your peace, these absolutely are. Hold firm to what is yours to control. Impatience can also rear its head, a natural human response to discomfort, uncertainty, and the slow pace of meaningful change. You might find yourself asking, with a deep sigh of weariness, when will they change? How long do I have to keep doing this on my own? Will I ever see a positive shift in our relationship? And here, it's absolutely vital to internalize this profound truth. This isn't a method specifically designed to change someone else. While their behavior might eventually shift in response to yours, and often it does over time, that is a secondary, often unpromised outcome. The primary purpose of this approach is an act of personal restoration. The respect you are claiming isn't an outward demand placed upon another. It's an inward return to your authentic, dignified self. It's a powerful, self-affirming reminder that your inherent worth, your dignity, and your peace do not and never will depend on anyone else's behavior, their approval, or their validation. The journey of self-mastery, of cultivating inner tranquility, is its own profound reward, regardless of external reactions. And finally, sometimes, a deep sadness arises. This is perhaps the most tender and honest of the inner challenges. Because truly admitting that your adult child disrespects you also means acknowledging that the cherished bond you envisioned, or perhaps once had, is wounded, fractured, or fundamentally altered. And that acknowledgement hurts profoundly, piercing through layers of denial and cherished hopes. You grieve for what was, or for what you hoped would be, for the idealized vision of your family. But that sadness, painful as it is also a profound doorway. It is a vital chance to stop pretending everything is fine, to shed the exhausting facade of everything's perfect, and to bravely start building something more real, more honest. It might not be perfect, it might not be ideal, but it will be more authentic, more truthful, and ultimately more human. This sadness, when honored and felt without judgment, can become the fertile ground for new growth and a different kind of, perhaps stronger and more resilient, relationship with reality. It is a necessary step in healing and moving forward with clear eyes and an open heart. Chapter 5. The Gift of Self-Compassion on this path. As you navigate the challenges of guilt, doubt, and impatience, there is one profound tool often overlooked that will be your staunchest ally: self-compassion. This isn't about self-pity or making excuses. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness, understanding, and patience you would offer to a dear friend facing similar difficulties. For so many years, especially as parents, we have been conditioned to extend boundless compassion outwards to our children, to our spouses, to our friends, often neglecting the person who needs it most, ourselves. Now, in this crucial stage of life, as you seek to reclaim your dignity, extending this gentle understanding inward becomes paramount. Think about it. When a child falls, we don't scold them for being clumsy. We help them up, dust them off, and comfort them. When a friend makes a mistake, we offer empathy and support, reminding them of their inherent worth. Why then do we so often deny ourselves this basic human kindness when we stumble, when we feel pain, or when we attempt to change deeply ingrained patterns? Self-compassion is recognizing that this journey of setting boundaries and shifting dynamics, especially with loved ones, is incredibly difficult. It is acknowledging that you are human, that you have vulnerabilities, and that feeling hurt or frustrated is a natural, valid response to disrespect. It's about moving from self-criticism, which only drains your energy and reinforces feelings of inadequacy, to a supportive inner dialogue that empowers you. Practicing self-compassion means giving yourself permission to feel your emotions without judgment. When the sadness of a wounded relationship washes over you, allow it to be there, without chastising yourself for feeling it. When the guilt tries to creep back in, gently acknowledge it, but then firmly remind yourself of the truths we've discussed. Your worth is inherent, and setting boundaries is an act of self-love, not selfishness. It's about understanding that changing old habits, especially emotional ones, takes time and many small, consistent efforts. You won't always respond perfectly. There will be moments where you slip back into old patterns, where you react impulsively, or where the pain feels overwhelming. In these moments, instead of harsh self-recrimination, offer yourself grace. Whisper words of encouragement. This is hard, but I am learning. I am doing my best. I will try again. Self-compassion also involves actively nurturing yourself, tending to your own well-being with intention. This could mean dedicating time each day to activities that bring you joy and peace, independent of your family dynamics. Perhaps it's reading a beloved book, listening to calming music, spending time in nature, or connecting with friends who uplift you. It's about replenishing your emotional reserves so you have the inner strength to meet challenges with composure. A Stoic recognizes that inner peace is not a passive state, but an active cultivation. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of returning to one's inner tranquility, finding solace in one's own virtuous actions rather than external circumstances. Your well-being is not a luxury. It is the foundation upon which you can build a life of dignity and quiet strength. Furthermore, self-compassion means forgiving yourself for past reactions or choices. Many parents carry regret, wondering if they could have done things differently, if they somehow contributed to the current disrespect. While self-reflection is valuable, dwelling in self-blame is destructive. Forgive yourself for what you didn't know then, for the choices you made with the information you had at the time. Release the burden of past mistakes and focus your energy on the present moment, on the choices you can make now to cultivate your peace. This act of self-forgiveness is liberating, freeing up mental and emotional space that was once consumed by unproductive rumination. Ultimately, self-compassion is the warm, steady light that guides you through the inevitable darkness of this journey. It reminds you that you are worthy of respect, not just from others, but from yourself. It allows you to stumble, learn, and grow without succumbing to despair. It provides the gentle encouragement to keep practicing, to keep choosing dignity, even when the path feels arduous. And embrace this powerful ally, for it is through this deep self-kindness that your inner fortress truly becomes unassailable, your spirit truly resilient, and your peace truly profound. You are worthy of this kindness, especially from yourself. Chapter 6. Embodying Respect, the Long-Term Harvest. We've explored the silent power of active silence, dismantled limiting beliefs, anchored our dignity through ritual, and embraced the crucial ally of self-compassion. Now, let's look to the long-term harvest of this profound inner work. Embodying respect. This isn't merely about managing difficult interactions, it's about transforming your very being, radiating a quiet, unshakable dignity that over time can profoundly shift the dynamics of all your relationships, especially with your adult children. It's about becoming the living embodiment of the respect you seek. When you consistently practice these Stoic principles, something remarkable begins to happen. You stop demanding respect because you are now embodying it. Your actions, your composure, your calm responses, and your unwavering boundaries become a powerful, non-verbal declaration of your worth. This is a far more potent form of communication than any shouted word or tearful plea. Think of a mighty oak tree. It doesn't scream for recognition. It simply stands tall, rooted deeply, weathering storms with quiet strength. Its presence commands respect. Similarly, as you become more grounded in your self-worth, your presence itself communicates your boundaries and your value. This embodiment has several profound, long-term effects. Firstly, it changes you. You will find a profound and growing sense of inner peace that is less dependent on external validation or the behavior of others. The constant churn of worry, frustration, and sadness will begin to subside, replaced by a quiet confidence. Your emotional energy, once spent on futile arguments or endless rumination, will be redirected towards cultivating your own joy, your own interests, your own meaningful life. This internal shift is the ultimate freedom, a state of eudaimonia that the Stoics aspired to, true flourishing that comes from living in alignment with reason and virtue. You will find yourself less susceptible to the emotional whims of others, more resilient in the face of life's inevitable challenges, and more genuinely content. Secondly, and often surprisingly, this embodiment of respect can begin to change your adult child. It won't happen overnight, and it may not happen in the way you expect, but the dynamic will shift. When you consistently refuse to engage in the old destructive patterns, when you stop being the emotional punching bag or the predictable source of conflict, your child is forced to confront their own behavior in a new light. Without your emotional reactions to feed their anger or justify their disrespect, they are left with the uncomfortable echo of their own words and actions. They may experience confusion, then frustration, and eventually, if they are open to it, a dawning realization or even shame. This doesn't guarantee an apology or an immediate transformation, but it creates the space for change. They might begin to learn that disrespect is met not with a fight, but with a firm, dignified boundary, and that if they want a relationship with you, it must exist on terms of mutual respect. This subtle shift can be a profound teaching moment for them, modeling the very behavior they lacked. Thirdly, this journey fosters deeper self-knowledge and a more authentic life. By challenging deeply ingrained beliefs and embracing new ways of being, you will uncover layers of strength and resilience you never knew you possessed. You will learn to listen to your own inner voice, to trust your instincts, and to honor your needs. This self-discovery is an invaluable part of later life, transforming it into a period of profound growth rather than decline. You become a person who lives with truth, not just for others, but for yourself. Your relationships, even beyond your children, will become more authentic as you learn to attract and cultivate connections that honor your dignity. In the long run, embodying respect means you are no longer passively enduring, but actively living. You are no longer defined by the disrespectful actions of others, but by your own unwavering commitment to your peace and self-worth. It is a continuous practice, a lifelong commitment to virtue and inner strength, much like a Stoic philosopher diligently practices their principles every day. There will still be difficult moments where your resolve is tested, but you will possess the internal tools to navigate them with composure. You will realize that the greatest power lies not in controlling others, but in controlling yourself, your responses, and your inner state. So, breathe, because you've already taken huge steps on this path. Maybe when you started this journey, you felt a profound weight in your chest, a mix of sadness and anger you couldn't quite name. Perhaps what hurt most wasn't just the harsh words, but something deeper, the insidious feeling that despite giving everything, you were treated as if you didn't matter. But if you've made it this far, if you've absorbed these insights and are willing to begin this practice, it's because something inside you still burns stronger than that pain. The unwavering desire to live with dignity. What we've explored isn't a manual for fixing a child. It's an invitation to see yourself through new eyes, to remember that respect isn't begged for, it's rooted within. It's embodied through your very presence and conscious choices. And this embodiment, this quiet strength, is the most powerful legacy you can leave, both for yourself and for those who witness your transformed presence. Your inner citadel awakens. Now breathe. Take a deep, slow breath, feeling the air fill your lungs. Then gently release it. Feel the weight in your chest, that familiar knot of sorrow or frustration, begin to loosen just a little. You've journeyed with me through challenging terrains, recognizing the silent normalization of disrespect, confronting the painful false beliefs that held you captive, and learning to anchor your dignity in the quiet strength of active silence. You've even begun to tenderly embrace self-compassion, a crucial balm for the wounded spirit. You've faced the shadows of guilt, doubt, and impatience, understanding them not as enemies, but as signposts on a path of profound transformation. You've walked through the uncomfortable truths, and in doing so, you've started to dismantle the very walls that kept you imprisoned by others' behaviors. This is not a small feat. It is a monumental act of courage. Maybe when you started watching this video, or even just a few moments ago, you felt that familiar, heavy weight in your chest. A potent mix of sadness, anger, and perhaps a gnawing sense of helplessness you couldn't quite name. Perhaps what hurt most wasn't merely the harsh words, the dismissive gestures, or the chilling indifference. It was something deeper, more insidious. The pervasive feeling that despite giving everything, despite years of unconditional love, tireless effort, and boundless sacrifice, today you are treated as if you don't matter. As if your opinions are irrelevant, your feelings inconsequential, and your very presence easily overlooked. This feeling, this slow erosion of your inherent worth, is a silent tragedy, and it has likely weighed on you more heavily than you ever consciously realized. But if you've made it this far, if you've listened to these words and allowed them to resonate within you, it is for a singular, powerful reason. Something inside you still burns, a flame stronger, more resilient, and more tenacious than any pain or disillusionment you've experienced. That flame is the unwavering, non-negotiable desire to live with dignity. It is the ancient, inherent human yearning for respect, not just from others, but for yourself, within yourself. It is the recognition that your peace is paramount and that the final chapter of your life is not meant to be one of enduring, quiet disrespect, but of embodying profound grace and strength. This is not about fighting battles, it is about choosing your own freedom. What we've explored together today isn't a simplistic manual for fixing a child, nor is it a guaranteed method for eliciting an immediate apology or a dramatic change in their behavior. That external control is not within our power, as the Stoics so wisely taught. Instead, what we have uncovered is a profound invitation. It is an invitation to see yourself through new, compassionate, and empowering eyes. It is an invitation to remember, deep in your bones, that respect isn't something to be begged for, earned through endless appeasement, or demanded with futile anger. It is something that is cultivated, rooted, and radiates from within you. It is an emanation of your deepest self, an unshakable inner reality that no external force can diminish. With every conscious silence you choose, every firm boundary you draw from a place of calm strength, every gesture that doesn't spring from the wound of past hurt, but from the clarity of your present wisdom, you are planting a new seed. You are nurturing a new kind of love, a love that is more conscious, more mature, more discerning, and ultimately more free. Free from the endless cycle of expectation and disappointment, free from the need for external validation, free to simply be your authentic, dignified self. This is the moment of realization. The power was always within you. It was simply waiting to be uncovered, recognized, and wielded with quiet grace. Your inner citadel, fortified by Stoic wisdom, is not just a defense against the world's chaos. It is the spring from which your true peace flows. This is your key moment, the conscious decision to reclaim your narrative, to step fully into your inherent worth, and to live every single day with the profound, quiet power of self-respect. Conclusion. Now, breathe. Feel the lightness that perhaps wasn't there when we began this conversation. You've already taken a monumental step simply by acknowledging the quiet pain of disrespect and seeking a new path. Maybe when you started this video, you felt a significant weight in your chest, a complex mixture of sadness, frustration, and a quiet anger you couldn't quite name. Perhaps what hurt most wasn't just the harsh words or the dismissive gestures, but something far deeper. The insidious feeling that despite giving everything, despite pouring your life and love into your family, today you are treated as if you don't matter, as if your presence is inconsequential. This feeling, a slow erosion of your inherent worth, has been a silent burden. But if you've made it this far, if you've listened to these insights and allowed them to resonate within your spirit, it's for one undeniable reason. Something inside you still burns brighter and stronger than that pain. It's the unyielding desire to live with dignity, to walk your path with peace, and to claim the respect that is rightfully yours. What we've explored together isn't a simplistic manual for fixing a child or manipulating their behavior. That external control, as the Stoics remind us, is ultimately beyond our grasp. Instead, this has been a profound invitation to see yourself through new, empowering eyes. It's an invitation to remember, deep in your bones, that respect isn't something to be begged for, earned through endless appeasement, or demanded with futile anger. It is something that is cultivated, rooted, and radiates from within you. With every conscious silence you choose, every firm boundary you draw from a place of calm strength, every gesture that doesn't spring from the wound of past hurt, but from the clarity of your present wisdom, you are planting a new seed. You are nurturing a new kind of love, a love that is more conscious, more mature, more discerning, and ultimately more free. Free from the endless cycle of expectation and disappointment, free from the crushing need for external validation, free to simply be your authentic, dignified self. You don't have to change your entire life overnight. That would be overwhelming and unsustainable. One conscious gesture is enough, one small yet profoundly firm decision. Maybe that decision is staying silent when you used to shout, or walking away calmly when you used to stay and fight. Perhaps it's writing down what you couldn't say in a journal, or simply whispering to yourself in the mirror, "I respect myself. My peace is non-negotiable. It's not too late. Your body still responds, capable of anchoring you. Your dignity still blooms, waiting for your gentle cultivation. And your soul, when it's given back its sacred space, expands, filling you with a quiet, profound joy. Today, you can choose a new way to show up in the world, not to please others, not to convince anyone, but simply to inhabit yourself with truth, with an unshakable peace that is not and never will be up for negotiation. This is your birthright. Your journey continues. Your journey toward a life of deeper peace and unwavering dignity doesn't end here. In fact, it's just beginning. What we've explored today is merely a glimpse into the profound wisdom that Stoic philosophy offers for navigating the complexities of human relationships and cultivating an unshakable inner calm. If the insights shared resonated with you, if you felt a stir of recognition or a glimmer of hope, then you are ready for the next steps on this path. I warmly invite you to delve deeper into the transformative power of Stoicism by exploring other videos right here on the Stoic Philosophy YouTube channel. Each video is crafted to provide you with practical tools, ancient wisdom, and reflective perspectives to strengthen your mind, cultivate resilience, and guide you toward a life of greater serenity and authentic happiness, regardless of external circumstances. There are countless more insights waiting to empower you. To ensure you don't miss any future videos, any vital guidance on fortifying your inner citadel and living with profound wisdom, I encourage you to subscribe to the Stoic Philosophy channel now and hit that notification bell. Join our growing community dedicated to cultivating inner peace and leading a life of purpose and dignity. Your commitment to this journey is a testament to your strength and your desire for a truly meaningful existence. Thank you. Thank you for dedicating your valuable time to watch this video, for opening your mind to these powerful ideas, and for your courage in seeking a path toward greater peace and self-respect. It is a profound privilege to share this wisdom with you. May your days be filled with serenity, your heart with understanding, and your life with the quiet, profound joy that comes from truly honoring yourself.
Thank you for watching this video here on the Stoic Philosophy. If you found value in this, I invite you to explore more videos on the channel. There's so much more wisdom to uncover. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next one. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.